On this episode of the Comic Blast podcast, we talk about that brand new Black Widow trailer that dropped this morning. We also get into some Mandalorian episode 4 really quickly. But most of the episode, we're going to be talking about our top 10 favorite comic book movies of the decade. We're also going to talk about some of your favorites of the decade. So really looking forward to that. If you're a new listener and you do end up enjoying the show, be sure to leave a rating and review. It will greatly help us out. We appreciate you guys so much. So let's get into the show.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out? Consider this mercy. I am inevitable.
What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Comic Blast podcast. My name is Keenan, one of the hosts of the Comic Blast podcast. Joining me, as always, is Grayson. How are you doing this week?
It's finals week, and to be honest, my finals are pretty easy, so I'm pretty good. I still have a couple of things left, but overall, not too shabby.
I'm kind of jealous. It's been a brutal finals week for me, but we don't need to talk about that. We need to talk about happy things, not sad things.
We actually have quite a bit of happy things to talk about, mostly. Yeah. So,
for the most part, do you have a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah, my Thanksgiving was decent, I guess. I ate a lot of food. But I also worked out a lot, and then I just worked. So it was overall, and also we went Black Friday shopping. So
that was fun.
We got let's see. So you got all of the Nolan Batman trilogy on 4K, correct?
Yes.
You also got, I think the day before, you got Bumblebee and what else?
Blade Runner 2049 and Us on 4K.
Us, right? Yeah. Yeah, all good choices. I got Batman Begins on 4K, and then I also got Deadpool 2, like the super duper cut thing on 4K or whatever, and a shirt. I think that was it.
So when we were going Black Friday shopping, we kind of went to Best Buy like right before they were closing. And it was like right after I got off of work, so I felt kind of pressured to like quickly get my things and get out.
Yeah.
I hate being in like businesses and like restaurants right before they close. Like it's just,
yeah,
I know exactly how it feels to be on the opposite end of that and be like a worker. So I was like trying to get out of there, and so I kind of ran into a dilemma where I had like Batman Begins and The Dark Knight Rises, and those were like in mint conditions because I'm a collector. Like I like everything in mint condition, and then I wanted to get The Dark Knight, but it was kind of beat up, like the slipcover was. And then when I got home, it looked even worse. Like when I like ripped it off the plastic and everything, like the paper was like kind of peeling off, and it was just like really bothered me. So I don't think I told you this, but I went to Best Buy like on Sunday, and I went there again and rebought the movie because they had brand new copies out. So I got a new one. So what I'm gonna probably do is I'm probably gonna do like some sort of giveaway for the 4K to one of our listeners.
Smart, yeah. Because
I have an extra copy. Also, I have like a ton of digital codes. I would give him to Grayson, but I think he has everything that I have.
Yep. He gave me the Bumblebee one.
Yeah. So I'm probably going to give that away to some of our listeners too. So I think within the next week, kind of like leading up to the holidays, we'll do some sort of giveaway for everyone.
Yeah. We always end up doing a ton of giveaways when we get like Blu-rays and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. That's like our excuse for buying it. Like it helps us feel better about buying stuff for ourselves. Is that we give it away
because you never use the digital codes, and I'm like, and what happens is like there's been a couple instances where I've just bought movies that I already have, and so we're just like, well, might as well give them away, you know? Yep. Somebody doesn't have them.
Exactly. So. Anyways, we have a really, really cool show for you guys today. We're going to be doing our top 10 comic book movies / superhero movies of the decade. Since 2010, we're going to give our ranking. We're also going to go over some of our listeners' rankings as well to give our thoughts. We're also going to talk about The Mandalorian episode 4. And a Black Widow trailer dropped this morning.
Surprisingly.
Yeah.
So it actually dropped at like 3 a.m. last night, and I was still up.
Oh, really?
And so I was going to bed, and I just scrolled through Instagram, and it refreshed. It was like 3 minutes ago, and it was just like she's not hiding from her past. Just like watch the teaser for Black Widow. I was like, oh, okay. And so I watched it, and I was like, we'll get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, wow, that was cool. I was up for that.
Very, very unexpected trailer release. Very quietly done, but we're gonna get into all that. That's pretty much gonna be the episode for today. Also, I just want to go ahead and shout out our social media handles. So you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at comicblast_, and you can also check out our Patreon page where we do Patreon exclusive things. You can get early access to the show and everything like that. So just go to patreon.com/comicblast. And of course, we want to shout out the sponsor of the episode, Jess, who has reached, sponsorship tier over on our Patreon page. So shout out to
supporting
her.
us from the very beginning whenever we launched our
Heck yeah.
Patreon. So
and our other patron, Joseph, as well. It's been with us since pretty much the beginning, as soon as we launched our Patreon page. So appreciate those guys for sure. And if you want to help out the Comic Blast podcast, or maybe this is your first time listening to the Comic Blast podcast, give us a review over on Apple Podcasts. That definitely helps us out. Other than that, I think I went over everything, right?
I believe so.
Okay, so let's get into the Mandalorian episode 4, because we haven't
we're going to talk about
this
that
yet.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it like kind of briefly. We talked about it a little bit before we went shopping the other day, but we obviously wanted to reserve our thoughts mostly for like this episode. So
yeah.
So like overall, this is probably like my least favorite episode so far.
Yeah. Same.
And the main reason for that is just because there's an episode in the Clone Wars that is literally the exact same plot as this episode, and it just feels like such a retread that I'm like, I have literally already seen this. And so essentially the whole concept of the episode is that like he finds this town that's being overrun by orcs. I mean, Klatooinians or whatever. But when you first watched it, you were like, oh yeah, these look like orcs from Lord of the Rings.
Of course.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. And so I was like, all right, that's kind of neat. But then, obviously, like they hire the Mandalorian and Cara Dune to like protect this village or whatever. Yeah. And there was an episode in the Clone Wars where they do the exact same thing, where like they go to Felucia and it's like Anakin and like Rex and Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, I think, maybe Aayla Secura. I don't remember. There was just a bunch of Jedi, and they train these farmers to protect them from these bandits like Hondo Ohnaka and like his like bandit people or whatever. And the reason it's probably is the same plot is not because they are copying the Clone Wars, but because Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau they really like the storyline The Seven Samurai, which is what that is based off of. It's about these samurai who have like protect this village or whatever. Yeah. Same thing with the Magnificent Seven, which is a cowboy version of it. And yeah, so it's like exact same plot, but there's also some cool moments in the episode that like I really enjoyed. I thought the ATST was pretty menacing, even though it kind of acted a little stupid and like a robot. And I'm like, there's people driving that thing, isn't there? And it had some cool like character moments for the Mandalorian, especially with like him and that woman, and which I thought was a really interesting dynamic. And like I hope she comes back in the show or something, because I'm like, I hope a lot of these characters, like I feel like so far these characters that we think are like going to be important to the show have just been like one and done. Yeah. So we've got like, we had Grief Karga, who was like in a couple of episodes, but like, and I'm sure he'll come back. But then we had like Kuiil, who was like in it for like one. IG-11 dead. Cara Dune already like she's departed.
I think she'll come back, but yeah, right now.
Yeah. For now, like they say goodbye. Same thing with like the woman in the village, all this other stuff, and I'm like, all right. So it's like kind of him just like hopping around the galaxy, like meeting all these new people or something like that. But yeah, what were your thoughts on the episode? Because
this was the first episode where I was like, I don't know about this. Like, I don't know if I like this or not. There were definitely things that I did enjoy from the episode. All of the action was really awesome, and I thought Cara Dune was actually pretty good. I actually liked her as a character. I didn't really care for the woman at the village so much. I was actually talking to Jess, who's the sponsor of the podcast, and she kind of agreed with me on this. But she and I were talking about how, within a day or two, the Mandalorian came pretty close to taking off his helmet as she's removing it and stuff. And I'm just like, God, I'm like, this is just moving too fast. I mean, like, this woman, he really hardly knows.
Yeah.
So I didn't really care for that whole thing. I've talked about it with people, and I said that if they remove this episode and then the rest of the season goes on, you probably would never know anything's missing from the season, because it felt like a side. Yeah, it just felt like a little side story or side mission, which is fine when you're having, a series that's 13 episodes long, maybe. But I mean, like, I got 8 episodes of this.
We got to make it count.
Exactly. And the fact that the first 3 episodes were about 30 minutes each, I'm kind of worried, because there's a lot of characters that I still wanted to see a lot of, and I feel like, we haven't got to see yet. So
yeah,
that's
is a little
disappointing.
worrying.
It's not like, oh my God, I hate this, because I still really, I'm still really looking forward to the 5th episode and everything. But I thought
I liked the episode. I mean, I didn't dislike it. I just thought, I was like, this is a little too. It was underwhelming.
Exactly.
Now I think it would have contributed to the plot better. Now somebody like my friend and I were talking about it, and he was just like, "All right, hear me out. This is from him, obviously, not me. But what if Baby Yoda died and he goes out and gets revenge on all these people, like John Wick?" And I was like, honestly, while it would have been sad for him to have died or whatever, at the same time, I'm like, that would have been worth it. Just to see him just go and just kill all of these guys, like John Wick and his dog. But obviously, they have probably bigger and better plans for the child or whatever. So.
What I will say that's kind of encouraging is that based on all of the episodes we've seen, it seems like they've used up most of the trailer footage. So that leaves a lot of stuff left to be seen, I think.
Well, you still have the Stormtrooper helmets on the pikes. You still have Moff Gideon. You still have him grappling onto his ship. You still have the Death Troopers. You still have him going out of the door and side shooting that guy and kicking him. I don't know. I mean, they've used there's still a good amount of footage that they haven't used.
Yeah, I just feel like this is going by way too fast now.
Yeah, I mean, it's already episode 5. That means 3 more weeks and you're done. But I mean, that's also because The Rise of Skywalker comes out literally this Friday. Will be 2 weeks.
Blows my mind.
Yeah.
I think about episode 2. I liked episode 2 because I felt like it did do some things to progress the plot a little bit.
Yeah.
But it also did have a feel of a filler episode. And then
it was good filler.
Yeah, this one felt like a filler episode as well. Yeah. So I'm thinking there's 2 really meaningful episodes, the first and the third. Mm-hmm. I mean, overall it's fine. It's a fine episode. I liked it. I enjoyed it, but I just thought we would be, I guess further along in the journey. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like it's probably going to have a payoff with the characters, especially the introduction of Cara Dune and stuff. And we're probably I trust Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and everything. So I think you'll have to see it as it goes on. Because I mean, you and I are big fans of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes.
And I'm also a big fan of Rebels. And both of those shows did the exact same thing, where there was these episodes that were just kind of these side stories with these side characters and stuff, but they had payoffs. You know.
That's possible.
So I kind of treat Mandalorian as this show, while I think it is for obviously all ages, but I feel like it's more catered toward the audience of it is a little bit of a kid's show. You can still see that it is. I mean, it has dark moments, but at the same time, you can see where it gets its inspiration from Clone Wars and from Rebels, probably due to Dave Filoni, because he's good at show running and stuff. Although he's not the show runner, he's obviously working a lot with Jon Favreau for the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, this episode, I think. It didn't really worry me that much. I was just I was still entertained all the way through. But there was a couple times I was just all right, we've got knockoff orcs and an ATST with like the same plot from a Clone Wars episode. I was like, they could have done a little bit better, but it's fine. And next episode, and we still have the next 3 episodes. I feel like we're gonna get to the finale, and the finale is gonna like freaking blow our mind or something like that.
I hope that the second half of this season, they kind of have longer episodes. For season 2, they definitely need to go with. I think they have to go with like 40 minutes to an hour long.
Yeah,
episodes.
They really need to. Because I was so sure that they were gonna be hour long episodes, and then like, okay, 39 minutes. 32 minutes. What's going on?
That's like my biggest critique out of everything, which is a nitpick, is probably the time for each episode.
Yeah, it kind of sucks.
Yeah, because we heard like Obi-Wan's gonna get hour-long episodes, so I thought it would be the same for this.
But see, I swore that we heard that the Mandalorian was gonna get hour-long episodes, and that's why it makes me hear that when I see this, I'm like, oh, Obi-Wan's definitely not going to have hour-long episodes.
Oh, my God, dude. That'd be so annoying because it's 6 episodes.
6 episodes. I'm like, it freaking better, dude. Like,
you
got Ewan McGregor back. You better make it freaking worth it.
Yeah, I agree.
But, yeah, I don't know. I'd say if I had to, like, rank the episodes so far, number 1 would be 3, or, like obvious, like, from top, not, like, episode number 1, but, like, so episode 3 is the top, then episode 1, then episode 2, although I actually am like, I love episode 2. Like, I really, really like that episode a lot. So, and then definitely episode 4 is kind of at the bottom, but I still enjoyed it, and we'll have to see where it kind of goes from there. Maybe we'll, like, when the show ends though, we'll kind of have like a small segment of like kind of our thoughts and like the entire, like,
for sure,
the arc of season 1, and kind of see from the beginning to the end, like how it paid off and things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'd rank it the same exact way, to be honest. But yeah, let's get into the Black Widow trailer. That was pretty much our thoughts for that. Black Widow, man. Yeah, go ahead with your thoughts. You saw it at 3 a.m.
Dude, I'm so excited for this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I watched this and I was like, I mean, the Black Widow movie is like intrigued me, but the one thing that always kind of disappointed me was that, like, I was like, man, it feels like they're trying to just cash in now that after she's dead. Like, it's like, all right, you can kind of get like, it's almost like if they made like an Iron Man movie after, like, right now, like an Iron Man 4, and they're like, oh, what's set between whatever. But, I think they had to finally like let audiences appreciate her and like wanted more of her. So I respect the whole decision with that, I suppose. But this movie, like, it gives me such strong. Well, I've seen some people say it gives them Winter Soldier vibes, which I was like, yeah, I can definitely see that. But what it really reminds me of is Jason Bourne. Does it make you think that too? Like, especially when she's like going into like the buildings and like in the snow areas and stuff. I'm like, sure. It definitely gives me like Bourne. What is it? The Bourne Identity vibes and stuff like that.
So I thought originally this was going to be more like the Winter Soldier. I even thought going into this it might have like a John Wick feel, and I think I was wrong about both of those. Because after watching the trailer, I'm like, there's a little bit of Winter Soldier and the grittiness of it. But I agree.
The espionage part of it.
I was thinking like Jason Bourne, and also a little bit of like Mission Impossible as opposed to John Wick, so which is fine. Like, both of those are really. I think it fits. And I was having a hard time. I was like, how are they going to make it feel like a John Wick movie? Which I was like, which obviously that wasn't like their pitch or whatever. But that's we both had the same idea. But it reminds me of like Jason Bourne in terms of kind of like first of all, the fight scene, like that small clip of that fight scene that we get between her and like Yelena, the Florence Pugh's character. Really cool fight. Like, at first I was like, this is a little standard, but then when she like gets slammed into the door and like breaks the glass, I was like, all right, this is the fight choreography that I like to see. Exactly.
So I think they're definitely going to ramp it up. But yeah, Mission Impossible is definitely a good like film comparison. It made me think also of the video game Just Cause, where it's like this really like big, grand, just like, military stuff, and like her skydiving and all of this, whatever. I'm very like intrigued by I guess I think they did a good job of like setting up the plot as well by using some kind of like the older footage. Yeah. Like, there's some scenes that I'm like, oh, they're definitely going to go more into her like backstory and character and stuff, which I think a lot of Marvel fans have kind of wanted, and we thought we were going to possibly get more of in like Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of like, I mean, they definitely show some footage of that, like her being trained and whatnot. But you can see like there's like all of these women in like kind of Black Widow style outfits, and I was like, okay. I was like, maybe there's like they're gonna. It would be really cool if they had like the 4 main characters were all like fighting those kind of like. I don't know, like Black Widow clones or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, though, David Harbour's character, like, I can't wait for him.
I think he's gonna steal this movie.
Oh yeah,
I honestly
for sure.
do.
I like just love his like charisma and like his just, I don't know, like he reminds me of, okay, so you saw The King and you didn't like The King, but he reminds me kind of like Joel Edgerton's character a little bit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, or he's kind of like this, kind of like a drunkard character, but he's also still kind of like, he knows what he's doing. But yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on everything and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think the standout is like, I think the cast is going to really work for this movie. Mm-hmm. Acting wise, it looks really good, and all of their accents are so well done. It doesn't seem cheesy at all from like pretty much all American actors.
Yeah, I think they definitely got some good dialect coaches for this movie.
Yeah, no kidding. But I think the vibe from this whole movie is really going to delve deep into like the family.
Yeah, which is kind of sucks that like they're like you're gonna watch Endgame and you're gonna be like, oh well, she did have a family.
That is a little bit disappointing though. Like, I do wish that this film took place after Endgame.
Yeah. There's rumors that, like, somehow they're going to bring her back. I'm like, I don't know how, because then it would almost, like, kind of worsen, like, the sacrifice in Endgame.
Yeah.
But it would also, but then again, there's the same thing of Gamora, where it's like, there has to be some, if they bring her back, there has to be some kind of repercussion.
I don't know how they would bring her back unless they're just exploring an alternate reality.
Because it's like, all right, so here's the thing is like, if we've got these characters, so they, to bring back all of the characters that died in Infinity War, they had to kill Tony Stark. That's just how it had to be, And obviously it completed his arc and stuff. If they brought back Gamora and her sacrifice served a purpose for the story of Infinity War, which I thought was really well done. However, now that she is back, she is not the same Gamora. So we have the character back, but not the same character, Like we have like a less evolved version of Gamora. Yeah. So, it fits for her to kind of like have that arc.
That's a good point.
With Black Widow, I'm like, if they did bring her back, which, I mean, part of me wants her to come back because I really just think that she is so good in that role, and like I love Natasha. And God, we should have just gotten this movie so much earlier, dude.
That's the problem, really, is that it should have came out like 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think it should have come out the year like
Civil War.
The year Civil War, or like the year after, before Homecoming or something like that.
Yep.
Man, that would have been a stacked year, though. Imagine if Black Widow came out in 2017. You had Black Widow, Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man Homecoming, and Thor Ragnarok. Like, that would have been Guardians of the Galaxy 2, to be specific.
But I mean, they could have done Civil War. They did it in May, and then they could have done Black Widow in December or something like that.
Well, Doctor Strange was in November, so
yeah.
I don't know.
They could have found a way to do it, I think.
Yeah. To be honest, I wish we had gotten this movie before we had ever gotten Captain Marvel.
100% agree.
I think people just cherish and get this character so much more. Like, I saw so many comments, and like, there's still a lot of debate going on about like, oh, people don't want to see like women in action films, which I'm like, this movie is totally going to disprove that theory. Because I'm like, but there's the whole thing of like, what was it, that new Charlie's Angels reboot, and like what's her face said something about like, oh yeah, people don't want to see women in action films, and I'm like, it's not that, it's just like, it's like you have to have like the right characters, and like people want to see Black Widow, like people also love Gamora, and that's why they see like see Guardians of the Galaxy for all these characters and stuff. So like, I don't know, but yeah, it's like, it is weird because it's just like they're finally coming out with this, but it's just like, it's definitely going to feel, depending on how it ends, it's going to feel like the odd one out of all of the future Marvel projects because of where it's placed in the timeline. For sure. Like, it's going to feel like, oh, it's just a movie to like, when you're going back to rewatch the Marvel movies to watch before Infinity War. Yeah. Which is going to just be really strange to see.
especially considering this kicks off Phase 4.
Yeah, it's just strange, you know.
Yeah, it is weird. I don't know. Maybe they have something up their sleeves for
I
this.
have a feeling that maybe what they're going to do is try to introduce some of the side characters, if they're still alive, maybe in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
That'd be cool.
I think it'd be cool to see, like, you know, Red Guardian or even Yelena Belova or whatever, Florence Pugh's character, which, I mean, if that's what they're going to do, and, you know, they're going to make her maybe like the new... like a new standout character, I would be fine with that, you know.
That's
maybe
a cool
like,
option.
Because in the comics, she became the new Black Widow for a while. Like, there was 2 Black Widows, and there was times she was a bad guy, but, like, yeah, she was, like, blonde Black Widow. And I'm like, well, I mean, she's a up-and-coming actress. Like, she's been in some good stuff, especially I think she was, you know, definitely, like, praised for Midsummer. What else was she in? Doesn't matter.
Knives Out.
No. She was not in Knives Out.
Was she not?
No. Who
Okay.
are you You're thinking of Catherine Langford.
Yeah, that's who I am. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it would be cool to have her as kind of like a leading character or something like that. And I get the feeling though that David Harbour's character is definitely going to be like, he's going to die. He's going to die somehow or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting considering, you know, her family or these characters aren't anywhere in Endgame, so it makes you wonder where they were during that time. Maybe they all
that's
got
the hard
dusted.
thing with these timeline things. But yeah, if they were dusted, but then again, they would. Don't you think they would have come back for like the final battle or something?
Maybe.
Yeah, that's what I don't know. It's dang it. Now you got me worried for this movie, man.
Oh, don't
I was
worry.
so excited.
I think it's gonna be a really cool movie, and I don't know. I feel like, guys, it always comes back to like in Kevin Feige we trust.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but at the same time, like I feel like they really shoehorned in Captain Marvel's film.
Mm-hmm. I think Black Widow should have come out when, honestly. But then again, they would have, like, how would they have done that with Endgame and stuff? It's like, it's hard to say. You can't just like rewrite it all.
It would
but,
have
like,
to be before Infinity War.
Yeah,
that would have to be her. Well, I mean, they could have. I mean, they could have put something in between Infinity War and Endgame, but it would have changed up, you know, the whole story of this film.
Yeah.
God, man. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll have to see. Either way, I'm still really excited for the movie.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
What are your thoughts on also, like, so there's a lot of people complaining about Taskmaster's design. Like, they don't like his costume. What are your thoughts?
I've seen it done better, but it's fine.
I think it's all right. Like, I don't mind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He seems a little, he or she, I'm not sure who's going to be under the mask. It should be a he, but
I mean, it should be a he if they're going by the comics, but I don't know.
Wouldn't be surprised if they do some sort of like
twist.
Yeah. So yeah, it seems like the character's like slimmed down a little bit in terms of the armor. It's a little bit less bulky.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I've seen it done better.
Especially in like Spider-Man PS4.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, even in Spider-Man PS4, but even in like the Avengers game coming out too, like I kind of like that
really
design.
Good in that. Yep.
So
I don't know. We'll have to see more about the whole villain side. I feel like he's not going to be like, or he or she's not going to be the main antagonist.
Yeah.
Maybe like they will, but like they're not. There's definitely going to be other antagonists. Also, it's just kind of interesting to see that, like, I didn't know William Hurt was going to be in this movie. Like, I thought, so I don't know if he's going to be like a part of it or just like a minor role or whatever, but
maybe at the beginning of the film.
Yeah, I think they're going to find some way, especially because didn't they say Robert Downey Jr. was going to be in like using like from footage from Civil War or something to set up like the timeline, because I think this movie is definitely going to confuse general audiences. They're like, Black Widow, she's dead.
Yeah.
And so like then the people will come to people like us or anybody else that's like in the know with like Marvel, and they're just like, oh, why is Black Widow so? I'm like, well, it's set between Civil War and Infinity War and all this stuff, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Overall, I think we both like the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the reception I've seen online has been pretty positive. So
yeah,
lots to look forward to next year.
Also, the last thing is the music in the trailer, really good.
I didn't really pay much attention to it. I'll have to go back and revisit it.
That's what stood out to me. I don't know who's going to compose the film, but I really liked the vibe of the music in the trailer. But yeah, that's everything.
All right, so let's get into let's get into our top 10 comic book movies of the decade. I'm really excited to do this.
Yeah.
Before we actually get into our list, I want to go over some of our listeners who sent in some lists for us.
I'm interested to see those.
Yeah, there's some really interesting choices on this. So let's get into. I'm looking through everybody's, and I don't think we'll get to everyone's because we're already like halfway through the episode. But we'll start with Chris Knockwood, who has been a listener for a while on the podcast. His list, I'll go from 10 to 1. He decided to do it like a not typical comic book list, so it's like less superhero based films, which I respect. So at 10 he has Surrogates. At 9 he has Edge of Tomorrow, which is a really good.
Edge
movie.
of Tomorrow is a comic?
I think it's based on like a graphic novel.
Really? Well, dang, that I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh. Cool.
8 Kick-Ass. I don't really. I don't really care for that movie.
I've never seen either of them. But yeah, I didn't think about that one.
Yeah.
Huh.
Number 7, Red. I'm not even
familiar
with that.
Red. Red's a great movie. Red 2 isn't as good, but Red 1 was definitely. Oh man, yeah, that was based on a comic, just a DC comic.
Okay.
Yeah, Bruce Willis and John Malkovich, really good. Anyway.
Yeah. Number 6, that's Atomic Blonde. I love that movie.
That's a comic one?
Yeah, it's based on a graphic novel.
Dude, what? I didn't know about any of this stuff. Now my mind is being blown right now.
Atomic Blonde, you haven't seen yet, but
no,
you definitely got to check it out. It's really cool. I think one of the directors who directed the first John Wick film directed Atomic Blonde.
Okay, cool.
I can't remember which one. There was 2 of them, but number 5, Two Guns. Number 4, I Kill Giants. Number 3, which is a movie you like, is Dread.
Oh yeah.
Number 2, Scott Pilgrim.
Oh,
I love that movie.
Yeah.
Number 1, which is one I wish I thought of, is Snowpiercer.
Snowpiercer, yeah.
God, dude, so good.
Yeah, I've actually never seen Snowpiercer all the way through.
Oh man, but the ending is so good.
I heard Chris Evans is like phenomenal in it though.
Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite Chris Evans movies. Yeah, I think
that's cool. That's a great list in terms of like
cool
stuff
list.
That's like non-traditional stuff.
Yeah, very unique.
Yeah, I have. I'd say probably 2 or 3 of those non-conventional answers in my list, but you'll see when we get to it. But yeah,
cool.
That was a great list. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that was cool. So let's get into. We'll go to Andrew. I think it's Freed. Mm-hmm. He listens to pretty much every episode, which we appreciate. So let's go with number 10. Controversial opinion: X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, both of us are gonna have to agree on that, but it's an unpopular opinion.
I mean, hey, do whatever you like. Enjoy what you enjoy, but that's not what I enjoy.
Yeah, same. Number 9, Aquaman.
Okay.
Aquaman's one of those films that like I like less and less after seeing it more, or just letting it sit.
I've only seen it once. So
yeah,
and to be honest, I was so hungry while watching that movie that it kind of put I was like, dude, I just want some food.
We didn't see that one together, did we?
No, I saw it with my entire family. Weirdly enough, my mom never goes to the theaters, but we went to go see Aquaman. It was like, did it come out in December of last year?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I went to go see it with them. Yeah, it's good. I think it's definitely like it based on your opinions and stuff.
Yeah. Number 7, Spider-Man Homecoming. Number 6, Spider-Man Far From Home. Number 5, Black Panther. I respect that. Number 4, Avengers Infinity War. Number 3, Logan. Number 2, Avengers Endgame. Number 1, Joker.
Number 1, Joker.
Actually, I like that top 4 a lot.
Yeah, it's a cool top 4.
It wouldn't be my top 4, but I do like that one.
Dude, there are so many, like, the more that I'm, like, these lists, I'm like, yeah, everybody's list is going to be so drastically different when it comes to these movies. Yeah.
People have, like, a different idea of... So I went with, like, more traditional, like, superhero films. Mm-hmm. But if I was, like, counting stuff like Snowpiercer, which is okay to count, that would have been probably in my top 5 because I love that film, but... Yeah. Let's get to Jess, sponsor of the podcast. We'll start at number 10, Big Hero 6. Highly underrated film.
Yeah, very underrated. I almost watched it yesterday.
I did watch it like 2 nights ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I remember now. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great movie.
It is. Number 9, Thor Ragnarok.
Classic.
Number 8, Black Panther. Number 7, Wonder Woman. Number 6, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 5, The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh.
Number 4, Endgame. Number 3, Logan. Number 2, Winter Soldier. And number 1, Spider-Verse.
Yeah,
I like that top 4.
Yeah, I think her and I have some similar position ones. Well, at least, yeah, we'll get into it. That's a good list as well.
It's really
like
tough.
I can't knock on anybody's list because I'm like, God, these are all great movies.
Yeah,
like, it was really hard for me to make my top 10. I'm just gonna say that.
I agree, because there were times where I was just like, it's tough because, like, if you could rank all of your top comic book movies of all time, there's things in my list that wouldn't even like scratch the surface of my top 10 of all time.
Yeah. Oh God.
So that's what's really tough about it, but that's what makes it fun, is the challenge of trying to only use certain movies.
I will say probably the majority of the best comic book or superhero films, graphic novels, all that, have probably come out within this decade. There's still a good amount that came out in like the latter half of the 2000s. But most of the really great ones have come out, I would say, at least a lot of my favorites, probably just because these are like the ones that I've watched the most, other than like, some Nolan trilogy films like, Batman Begins and Dark Knight, which came out in the 2000s and stuff like that. So yeah.
I agree. So we're going to get into our top 10. I think we should just do it like 2 at a time.
Yeah. So do you want me, then you, or should I could just go through all of mine first and then you go through all of yours?
I think give me your 10 and 9, and then I'll give you my 10 and 9, and then we'll just take turns going through it.
All right. Sounds good. So these are 2 that are definitely going to be unconventional, and one of them nobody has mentioned yet, which really breaks my heart. But so number 10, Dread. I only saw that movie like a month ago for the first time, and yeah, it made it into my top 10 because I think it is a phenomenal film.
Awesome.
Number 9. God, what? No, nobody mentioned this one, but you know what? I'm doing the service. Kingsman: The Secret Service.
That is an interesting pick.
That movie is really freaking good. I think you don't like it as much, but I adore that movie.
Yeah. I like it. It wouldn't get close to my top 10, but I think it's
I love I think the cinematography, the villain, the humor, and the action choreography is so well done. And it's R-rated and stuff like that, so it feels very comic booky in its vibe. So, but yeah, what's your 10 and 9?
Number 10 is Wonder Woman, and number 9 is The Dark Knight Rises.
Solid. Neither of those are on my list.
You said neither of those?
No.
This Wonder Woman, I think I appreciate more than most people do.
Yeah, you definitely like that movie.
I love it, and The Dark Knight Rises was pretty easy. Yeah. I love that whole trilogy.
Yeah,
like all 3 films mean a lot to me, so I had to find a way to get it into my top 10 somehow.
It almost made it into mine, but the hard thing about that movie is that like I think The Dark Knight Rises pales in comparison to the first 2. The older I've gotten, the more I've like less and less liked The Dark Knight Rises. I still love the movie and I love the performances, but it's definitely like it's hard because I think the first 2 are like perfect films in my opinion.
Yeah.
And The Dark Knight Rises has some weird problems that like
it does.
But that's mainly I don't think that's anything to do with like Christopher Nolan's fault. I think it just has to do with like the unfortunate passing of Heath Ledger. I guarantee I remember he was supposed to be part of the whole, third film, and
right.
But they treated a lot of the stuff with really good care. And yeah, so definitely good choices though. And I appreciate your Wonder Woman choice because it's a movie that people like, but I think you like lift it up more than anybody else, which I respect.
Yeah, I'll always stick by that film. It was I was really down on the DCEU for so long, and when that movie came out, I had so much hope. So yeah, I don't know. That movie means a lot to me, and I'm not like a huge Wonder Woman fan, like in terms of comics or animated animated shows or anything like that. But that movie was, I really liked that movie.
I need to rewatch that movie some point soon because I remember that was also a movie that like. I don't know what it is with DC movies, but I always watch them on the worst days possible. Like, I'm always like hungry and tired and in a bad mood, and I'm just like, I'm just whatever. So sorry, Wonder Woman. Just I just need food. Essentially, the more of the story is just
don't go to the movies hungry.
Yeah, I need to just stuff myself before I go watch a DC movie. But yeah, I guess I will get into my 8 and 7.
Yeah.
All right. So, number 8 is Batman Under the Red Hood.
Okay.
The animated film. I think it's one of the best like DC animated films of all time, and lately a lot of the recent ones have not blown me away, but this one still holds up so well and is like really like shaped a lot of my love for like DC, and I have really fond memories of this movie. So yeah, Under the Red Hood at number 8, and then number 7. Yeah, this is gonna be the unpopular opinion one, but The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I knew it.
It's not in my top 5 because there's still many. I had to put it in the bottom of stuff, but yeah, I mean, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 has been like such a. It has been a film that has like always just kind of like, in a weird like metaphorical way, like stood by me and like always kind of been there for me, like whenever like I need something like hopeful or uplifting or like need a good cry or something like that, like I can watch that movie and like and just really enjoy it. And even though it has glaring issues, I won't deny that at all, but yeah, everybody knows my love for Amazing Spider-Man 2. So
yeah, I think it's important to note that these films aren't necessarily like, we're not saying they're the best, like definitive.
No, that list would be totally different.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah,
but it's just about what we enjoy the most, I think.
Yeah, I had to put the whole thing to the side. I'm like, if it was the top 10 like best movies of the decade from like an external perspective of like not me ranking it, there would be so many other films that would make the list because of what they did for either the Marvel Cinematic Universe or just for like culture in general, or how much money it made, or what like kind of vibe it gave off and stuff of like the evolving that. But I was like, you know what? No, I'm just gonna make it my personal list of movies that I like, and so yeah, keep that in mind.
Yeah, definitely. My number 8 is Captain America: The First Avenger. I think it's a perfect origin story for Captain America.
One of the best.
Yeah, and it's definitely not like a perfect movie, but like I stand by the best thing that the MCU has done is like perfect Captain America's arc.
Oh yes.
From start to finish, it just continuously got better, and they really started off strong with that character. Mm-hmm. There's just a ton of moments in that movie that just mean a lot to me. Like I think about Steve Rogers jumping on that grenade, and stuff like that. It just, I love that movie. Number 7 is Thor Ragnarok for me. A movie that I didn't anticipate liking as much as I do, but it's now like, it's one of my favorite comic book movies. Definitely in my top 5 of MCU movies, maybe top 3. So
yeah, can't go wrong with Ragnarok.
Yeah, I love that movie. Your number 6 and 5.
So number 6 is Man of Steel.
I knew it.
And number 5 is Civil War.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So, man, I had to put one of the DC films in here from like, and I was like, it was hard, but I was like, Man of Steel, I think is the one that I still think is people hate on way too much.
Yeah.
And then Civil War, like, I just freaking love that movie. The introduction of Spider-Man and Black Panther, the villain, the like genre and kind of like overall tone of the film, action scenes, whole 9 yards. I think Civil War is still one of the best like MCU films and one of the best comic book films, especially over this decade. So
yeah, what did you say your number 6 was?
Man
of Steel. Okay, yeah. Man of Steel, like when I was making my list, I was like, I know Grayson's gonna find a way to put Man of Steel in his.
Yep.
Because it's not on my list. Spoiler warning. I really wanted to get it on my list, but I just couldn't.
That's hard, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, at least one of us has it on there. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. I had to respect the Boy Scout in blue.
Yeah.
And, I love Superman. So.
I think the problem that I have is that when making my list, I shouldn't do this, but for the movie, like I also think about what did the movie do for the character going forward too?
Mm-hmm.
Like, did it do anything to improve the character's arc and like
yeah,
going forward? And I think of Man of Steel, and I'm like, that character's just kind of dead in the water, like nothing's happening.
especially
And it's not
now,
the fault of the film or the character; it's just the studio.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes it harder for me to kind of put it in that when I think about things like, the potential of Wonder Woman and what happened with Captain America, how Thor was revitalized in Thor Ragnarok. Like, I think of stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
it's hard. Like they made these characters like relevant and inspiring, and like and so there's been this whole controversy right now with like Superman. They're like, WB doesn't know what to do with the character because they don't know how to make him relevant. And I'm like, I mean, Superman will always be relevant.
It's timeless.
He is. When you think of a superhero, you think of him, Batman, and Spider-Man most likely. And I'm like, Superman is literally like so many of the phrases that we get of like, oh yeah, that's my kryptonite and all this stuff. I'm like, it comes from Superman. I'm like, that's why he is literally a global icon. So I don't know, just get some good writers and stuff. Like, I know they're sitting on untapped potential for a sequel, but anyway, I digress.
Yeah, I agree. It's been almost 7 years since Man of Steel, which blows my mind.
Yep.
My number 6 is Avengers Endgame.
Okay.
That kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Number 5, which may surprise you, is Infinity War.
Really?
Yeah, I think about it like from time to time, and I think that Infinity War is just like a tighter film. Like, there's less issues for me.
There definitely is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I think overall it's just a better, well-rounded film.
Yeah. I really wanted to put Infinity War on my list, and yeah, it's not, unfortunately, but like there's a handful of films like that I'm like, I want to put these in here somewhere, but I want to also like give these other like films like a chance in my list. That's why like Dread and Kingsman and like Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Under the Red Hood and stuff like that is in there, because it's like those are lesser appreciated films that I really enjoy, and like I didn't want to like put all of like the kind of the cliche answers, I guess, which there's nothing wrong with like having Infinity War and stuff on your list, because that movie, like you said, is a tighter film. I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I think most people would expect Endgame to be a little bit higher, and it's definitely like a more epic movie, and it provides a lot of things that you wanted to see for 10 years, But I think just start to finish, Infinity War was just a little bit stronger, like with the narrative and everything like that, and the ending was just nailed. I love the ending of that film. So yeah, let's get into your number 4 and 3.
So my number 4 is Endgame. Like I said, it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
And then number 3 is Spider-Verse.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I put, that's kind of the reason Spider-Verse was on my list. That's kind of the reason why I put a DC animated film on my list, is I was like, well, if Marvel's going to get a DC, or like Marvel's going to get a DC, if Marvel's going to get an animated film, like DC should get one too.
Yeah.
And DC like kind of dominated the animated like side of things for a while, but yeah, Spider-Verse is a movie that I'm going to love probably for the rest of my life, and so I had to put that at number 3, and then Endgame number 4, like obviously speaks for itself. And honestly, I probably could put that and Infinity War like interchangeably, because I almost kind of like see those films kind of like in a combined way. Sure. Like it's hard to have one without the other. And so they're kind of, they are like a part 1 and part 2.
Yeah.
And so that's why, like, if I really, the day that would change, I'd be like, yeah, no, take Endgame off the list and put Infinity War on there. They're kind of like combined for me, but yeah, that's my 4 and 3.
I'm actually surprised Spider-Verse is not higher for you.
You'll see why.
Yeah, I was kind of predicting that it would be. Now I'm like really curious as to what's going to be ahead of it. Anyways, my number 4 is Logan.
Okay.
And number 3 is really recent movie, but it's Joker.
Yeah. I knew Joker would be on yours. 100%. I was like, yeah, freaking Keenan's going to put Joker on his list.
Yeah, it's so hard not to, because it became like it became one of my favorite comic book movies of all time, not just even of the decade.
It's like when I hear you talk about it, like I love the film that much more. Like it's really cool to just like, you know, and other people who like it is really good. But like I think it really just depends on the viewer, and you're one of those viewers that like I knew from the get go. I'm like, yeah, he's gonna enjoy Joker exponentially more than I would, because I think you're definitely the bigger film buff of the two of us. I mean, I like a lot of movies as
I don't
well.
know, you're
but
getting there.
I'm trying my best. I'm trying there, but like you're showing me the way with with the Quiet Place and all this different stuff.
Dude, what the heck, dude? Real quick segue or like side conversation right now. The fact that you haven't seen A Quiet Place until this past weekend blows my mind.
Yeah,
and
I'm really glad you told me to watch it though, because like I thought it was like 2.5 hours, and I was just like, I just don't want to sit there and watch people be quiet for 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
and then I was like, oh, it's only an hour and a half. Love the movie, by the way. Fantastic. John Krasinski, I love you.
Dude, he directed that film too. That's what blows my mind. First time directing.
He co-wrote it, right?
Yeah, so like funny story, what happened was he was working on Jack Ryan, and I think one of the writers for Jack Ryan or something like that, or producer, they had a script already kind of formulated for A Quiet Place, and they wanted John to kind of possibly play the main character. And then after reading it, he's like, I'll do it, but I want to direct it, and I also want to like change some things to the writing. So that's what happened. And then he started writing it. Then he was like trying to help with casting because he was the director, and he was trying to find someone to play the wife. And then what happened was his wife was
Emily
like,
Blunt's so good.
yeah, she was like, let me read the script and see, if I can think of anyone. And then she read the script, and then she was like, there's no one that can play this other than me. So that's what happened. Really cool story. That's besides the point, but I'm so happy that you watched that movie. And you liked it.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies that I'm trying to like. I think in the wintertime I like to watch a lot more movies and stuff like that. So I'm trying my best here. So that was a good start off to that. But so yeah, did you already say your number 4 and 3? It was
Logan and Joker.
Logan and Joker. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, both good choices. You ready for my number 2 and 1?
Yeah.
Actually, I'll do my 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do 2, you do 2, and then we'll both do our number 1. So my number 2 is Winter Soldier. It just shy of the cut of number 1, but Winter Soldier is still my favorite MCU film to date. The longer it's gone on, it was Homecoming for a little while. Homecoming is number 2, I think, for me now. But I've probably seen Winter Soldier more than any other MCU film, and that's just because the Russo brothers kill it with the directing. The acting is phenomenal. The action, I say phenomenal way too much. Please do not roast me on Twitter. The fight scenes and choreography is just so good and so perfect, and like it's brutal and tactical, and it just fits Captain America. The elevator fight scene, still one of the coolest fight scenes in any comic book movie.
Yep.
If you guys haven't seen, I believe there was one of the episodes for Corridor Digital or Corridor Crew. They got one of the stuntmen for the elevator fight scene, breaking it down. I think he helped with Winter Soldier, or sorry, not Winter Soldier, Civil War. Really, really cool guy. So go check out Corridor Crew, and I think it's in probably like their stuntmen react videos. Really cool just to see like the whole dichotomy of the fight scenes and stuff, especially with like Sebastian Stan, who like really went all out for the Winter Soldier's like knife fights and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, Winter Soldier is like, I just adore it. The soundtrack also so good.
Oh, it's one of the best like MCU scores, I think.
Yeah, it's a great film.
Yeah,
and I have a feeling it's probably going to be I think it's going to be your number 1.
Yeah, it's number 2 for me too. So we can keep talking about it. Yeah,
yes,
yeah, dude. It's so easy. It's one of my favorite comic book movies ever. Probably in top 5, I'd say.
Oh yeah,
I got to think about the Raimi Spider-Man films and stuff like that. But yeah, dude, this movie is it's amazing. It stands kind of like, it's only been out for 5 years, but there's been only so many 5 years.
It feels like it's been out for so much longer.
Yeah, I was about to say it stands the test of time, but I'm like, it's been out for 5 years.
I feel like it will though, honestly.
Yeah, it really will, because I think of like spy thrillers and stuff like that that took place or that was made in like the 70s and 80s, and I'm like, yeah, I could see this being one of those films that kind of hold up. My favorite thing about the film, though, is just like the dynamic between, or the relationship between Bucky and Steve, and also the relationships he forms with Natasha and Sam.
Really good. I think the relationship between him and Natasha is like elevated so much more, and just it carries throughout the MCU. You can feel it from the end of Age of Ultron when they're assembling the new team, then into Civil War, and then into Infinity War, and then especially Endgame when Natasha sacrifices himself. Like you can feel kind of like it's just they really bonded and became such good friends. I think Samuel L. Jackson's also really great in the movie.
His best like Nick Fury performance and best. All right, probably the best job they did with that character.
Yeah,
I think
you're throwing shade at Captain Marvel, but it's okay. No,
I actually like Sam Jackson and Captain Marvel. I think he's pretty
decent.
Good.
Yeah, I think people don't talk enough about Robert Redford's character.
Yeah,
I think Pierce is one of the best villains in the MCU.
Yeah,
and people are always like never really talk about him, and I'm like, it was so nice to see him in Endgame. Like I was not expecting that because Robert Redford, I mean, he's kind of like he's a top tier actor. Like that's
for sure.
He's very famous, and it was really cool. I watched the movie earlier this semester, and it was about Watergate, which was kind of like a political thriller. And he's like this reporter, and I'm like, you can totally see why they got him for Winter Soldier because it has similar undertones to that. And like also a weird thing when I see Robert Redford, I'm like, back in the 70s and stuff, he totally could have played like Captain America. But he's like a young Robert Redford. I was like, man, he has the look for Steve Rogers. But yeah, they really great cast, and I think this movie is definitely going to like just still going to stun people like as it goes on. But
yeah. It's so good.
Okay,
Number one.
I
have no idea what this is going to be from you.
Really? Nah, you you're gonna see it coming. So number one is actually I'm curious what you thought it was.
I thought it was gonna be Winter Soldier or Spider-Verse, but
okay, yeah, those are just underneath it.
Yeah. Now I'm thinking. No, I'll just let you say it.
So number one is Logan.
Holy crap! Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think Logan is a movie that like. You know, like when I saw it the first time, I was like, wow, that was a really great film. And the older, like, I mean, it's been out 2 years. No, 3. No, 2. 2. Yeah, it came out in February 2017.
Coming up on 3.
Almost 3. I think this movie is the best X-Men related film they have ever made. I would say the Deadpool movies are slightly underneath that, but I think it is Hugh Jackman's best performance, not as Wolverine, but maybe ever. He's so good in the movie. That its R rating is freaking perfect. The relationship between him and X-23 is so good. Patrick freaking Stewart, so good in this movie. Like, yes. And then the fight scenes, yet again, I'm just a sucker for like really good like fight choreography and stuff. Yeah. And they utilize like him running through the forest, the brutality of when he's amped up on that like that juice or whatever it is, and he is just killing guys so brutally. I'm like, that is what I want to freaking see out of Wolverine. And they nailed this movie, and perfect departure for, you know, the long legacy of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. And honestly, it makes me so mad that this movie was not nominated for an Oscar, because it makes me mad when I see Black Panther was nominated for an Oscar, which I think is a good film, but did not deserve Best Picture nomination, whereas Logan 100% deserved it, because I view Logan, and the reason I think I enjoy it so much is that I view it as a drama, not as a superhero film. Because it's not, you know, I view this as kind of like what Joker is, I think.
Sure.
Where it's about the character of Logan and the relationships between him and Professor X and X-23, and him kind of like, you know, outliving all of his friends. I think I'm gonna watch that movie tonight now.
Yeah, you're making me want to watch it.
It's really good.
It was number 4 for me. Yeah, it was number 4 for me. I didn't really talk about it or anything, but yeah, I 100% agree with you about everything. Definitely should have been nominated for something.
I think it should have either Hugh Jackman should have been nominated for Best Actor, or heck, even Patrick Stewart as Best Supporting Actor, or like support. Like, oh my god,
what a heartbreaking story, though. I mean, it ended perfectly.
Yeah.
The thing that kills me about the whole Logan is that it took them so long to finally make this movie. In terms of not this movie in particular, but just nailing the character of Wolverine. It took them so long, and it sucked that it was his last one.
Yeah.
But there was no better way to end his arc, I think. But
could not agree more.
Yeah. Now I want to watch the movie. Thank you.
Now, but what's your number 1?
Number 1, you probably already know. Let me just start by saying I am shocked that Spider-Man: Homecoming was not on your list.
It's an honorable mention. I love that film, but there's just so many other films that I had to put on there. I probably could have put Spider-Man: Homecoming where Amazing Spider-Man 2 was at, but yeah. Wait, okay, so your number 1's it's not Winter Soldier.
Dude, how did you not guess this?
Is it? I don't know.
Dude, it's Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, you haven't said that yet?
No, I haven't. No.
Oh, okay. Then yeah. Well, duh. That makes sense. Okay.
Dude, this is so easily my number 1 because it's if I look at my favorite comic book movies of all time, Spider-Man 2 is probably my number 1.
Yeah.
But I'm also kind of back and forth between best Spider-Man movies when it comes to Spider-Man 2 and this one. So they're kind of on the same level, but yeah, I mean this film, obviously, it nails 2 different interpretations of Peter Parker. It nails Miles Morales.
It gets the character of Spider-Man as a whole. And
exactly.
It makes perfect sense as to why it's your number 1, and that's my number 3. So I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I thought this would be your number 1, but
yeah,
that's
I think
in
on a different day it probably could have been, but I think I just appreciate Logan more as a film.
Sure.
But Spider-Verse will easily go down as one of the best animated films of all time.
Yeah.
And I think the reason both you and I enjoy it so much is because how it handles the character of Spider-Man, and that we always are talking about how there is a different Spider-Man for everybody. Yep. And that this movie literally is the embodiment of that.
100%.
It's the core message of and it's also about kind of embracing yourself and everything like that, and everything that comes along with it, especially your flaws, and it just gets the character of beating down. We always talk about how we like the characters to be tore down and built back up. Yep. And each of the characters in this film have some method of that, or at least I would say the core 3 characters of Miles, Gwen, and Peter B. Parker. They're tore down in some way. Some are already down. They're not even at a high point before, but and then they are built back up and elevated into a perfect movie.
My favorite thing is that it just explores relationships in every way possible.
Oh yeah,
whether it be a marriage story, or losing a best friend, or losing an uncle, or struggles between a father and a son. I love all of those themes of Into the Spider-Verse. It explores each of them perfectly.
Agreed.
And I love what Miles was able to teach Peter B. Parker. So yeah, I mean, God, I just love that movie, and it's so rewatchable for me. So,
oh yeah, I've seen that movie. I don't know, probably just shy of under 10 times or something
same.
that. Yeah,
same.
So yeah,
those
are both. That's it.
That's tough. I feel like in a year from now I'm gonna have a completely top 10 of the decade, because it's so easy to change this stuff around. But
yeah, it really just depends on kind of I think rewatching movies and kind of where you are in life can really change what you think about certain films.
It's a good way of putting it.
I want to list some honorable mentions
Sure.
just really quickly. So I did have Deadpool on on my honorable mentions. Like I thought about putting it. I had like a list of movies that I was like, where do I want to put these? And then I was like, I made a list of just my favorite films from the decade. And then I was like, all right, this one's going to have to make it. Yeah. So Deadpool, Spider-Man Homecoming, Infinity War, Ragnarok, Doctor Strange. That was almost in my top 10, but it did not make it. And then the BVS Ultimate Cut. Yeah.
I expected BVS to be on your list. I was wrong about that. I was wrong about a lot of things on your list.
Yeah.
I knew Man of Steel was going to get there, and I knew that Amazing Spider-Man 2 was going to be there.
You know me too well.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, though, I mean, like, I was pretty surprised by where things were on your list. I feel like mine was pretty straightforward and kind of expected.
Yeah. I think yours was, it probably, like, fits pretty well with what I thought was going to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, honorable mentions for me. Like I said, if I was thinking about other movies that were non-traditional superhero movies, Snowpiercer would have definitely been there for me. Atomic Blonde too, maybe. But yeah, I think just like with the whole theme of the podcast, it just felt right to include mostly like superhero films.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I had to. Yeah. Now I almost kind of want to go back and rank like the ones from the 2000s at some point.
That'd be so cool.
That maybe we could do that at some point, kind of down the line or something like that. Just to, when there's maybe a week or something where we don't have as much stuff to talk about.
Sure.
I think that'd be, which I definitely already know some of them that have to be in the top 10 for the 2000s, like no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed doing that, and good idea on your part. And also I enjoyed everybody's other lists as well. I think it's just cool to see how everybody like has so many different favorite films and like kind of what it means to them and stuff like that. So
100% agree. Yeah, so that's gonna pretty much do it for this episode. Rise of Skywalker is coming up really soon. I think it's almost time for us to eventually revisit The Last Jedi.
Oh, is it that time?
I feel like we're gonna have to do it at some point in time. We're gonna have to rip off the Band-Aid.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's so. I guess you'll see that in the upcoming weeks then.
Yeah, well, that's just a little bit of a teaser for you guys. I have to rewatch it. So I haven't watched it in like a year, so.
Oh man, it's gonna be interesting to see.
That should be interesting. We won't argue or anything. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe. All that good stuff. Check out the YouTube channel. It'll be linked in the description from wherever you're listening. Like I said before, we're on Instagram and Twitter at comicblast_. Yeah, anything else I need to add?
I don't know what to say at the end of this one. Normally if it was Star Wars I would say may the force be with you, but this one Shazam!